And welcome back. The Port Authority of Hamilton County, which calls itself the Port, may be one of the most important local agencies you rarely hear about. It's deeply involved in everything from development to jobs. Since 2012, the Port has improved nearly 1,400 acres in Hamilton County. It's issued more than $784 million in bonds for projects from housing to FC Cincinnati's new stadium. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about that and what's next is the president and CEO of the Port, Laura Brunner. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You guys have a new annual report that's out. Can you list maybe some of the top accomplishments for this past year and a couple of the things that are kind of hurdles moving forward?
Sure. I'll take this great big complex project and narrow it down to just a few bullet points.
Sure.
So within our industrial strategy, where we're committed to bringing back manufacturing jobs to our county, we finished the Cincinnati Gardens demolition and site work and sold our first parcel to Messer Construction. They're going to start work next month on building a speculative manufacturing building there. So that's a very exciting thing for us to have to market, to bring advanced manufacturing to our county. So that was a highlight. Within our neighborhood strategy, we started work in 3 new neighborhoods in Avondale, Price Hill, and the West End. Although at the same time, we worked in 41 different jurisdictions throughout the entire county. We just finished our 30th house in Evanston, where we've been working for 5 years, and have really catalyzed the private housing market there in that community. And in our public finance practice, clearly the financing of the FC Cincinnati Stadium was a highlight.
So what are a couple hurdles, though, that came out of that says, all right, these are going to be the big challenges moving forward?
Well, I'd say we probably have 2 big hurdles. The biggest one is money. It's always about money. We feel like we've got a really good strategy. We know what to do to make an enormous impact within our region, but it's all a matter of money because we're focused on fixing broken real estate. And the definition of broken is that the private market can't make money developing the property, which means that you have to bring subsidy to the table. So we're always looking for new sources of funding for our projects. And then the other challenge with overall is just the relationships that are required to do our work with our community partners. And so it takes an enormous amount of commitment of time to develop those relationships and build the trust that's required to do a good job.
When you talk about some of the locations on the West End and of course the FC project, there has been an ongoing housing study. And that was, it's been delayed a couple times on when the results of that were going to be revealed. Looking forward, can you give any perspective on the percentage of affordable housing, a percentage number that you're looking at for affordable housing on the West End as part of this redevelopment?
So the study will be done very soon, within the next couple of weeks. And a few major outtakes of that are, number one, that there's a need for new market rate housing, new market rate rental and new market rate home ownership. There's a lack of that and a desire for people even within the West End to have other choices. And then on the affordable side, it depends on if everyone that gets to stay in their current location, then it's a modest number of new units that are needed. But if rents raise in where the current residents are living, then we have to have replacement housing for those. So that's really going to be a balancing act as we move forward.
Where do you see that balance, though? Because while some people will stay there, and that could be factored into this percentage for affordable housing, where do you see that percentage, though, on the West End lying?
Well, I think that if there's new construction on the market rate side, that there's a good chance that the people that are currently living in affordable housing would be able to stay. But if the private sector, if there's a lot of sale of the current places where the affordable housing is and rents are raised, then we're going to have to replace that someplace else. So it's not as easy really as saying that there's a percentage, but it's something that is going to have to be monitored closely.
You actually the Port obtained a parking lot near the Duke Energy Convention Center. Do you see an urgency, because it takes time when you're booking, or the city is booking conventions years down the road, that long-term planning, do you see an urgency to build a new hotel downtown, get that up, or continue your ongoing discussions with the millennial?
Well, clearly there needs to be a new convention center hotel, and the question is whether it's going to be at the Millennium site or on our parking lot. I think those are the 2 most likely places. I think that which of those happen first is still up in the air. There's active conversations going on in both of those locations, but that's a top priority for the convention center is to have a quality.
Do you see groundbreaking? Do you think that is going to ultimately, the way things are going, is that going to be the more prominent option here?
Yeah, so there's an RFP that's being developed that should be out shortly to solicit developers interested in the parking lot. So I think that is a clearer path. It's certainly easier to start with a empty parking lot than to buy a building, tear it down, and start over. So I think that would be the shortest path forward.
And we've covered the issue with the land bank and the number of houses that the port owns, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much real estate the port currently owns. But is there any game plan to start inviting other nonprofits or other community groups to come in and maybe adopt houses, get them up to snuff, and get those off to lower income
Yes, I mean, we're certainly actively looking to dispose of the property that we own. We work with Habitat for Humanity, Youth Build, over-the-rhine community housing, and then several different CDCs throughout the city to actively sell properties to them. We're also getting ready to do RFPs for land that we own in Evanston and Walnut Hills and Mount Auburn, where we own a high enough concentration of vacant lots that we're hopeful the home builders will come in now to these neighborhoods that are now seeing increased market interest.
Try to entice them to come in and develop that land.
Right, with a combination of both market rate and affordable inside of that.
All right. Well, Laura Brunner, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We do have this report, by the way, over on WCPO.com, and as soon as that neighborhood report is finished down in a couple weeks, you say, maybe?
Yes, clearly. You can count on it.
We can count on it. All right. You can get those details of what's going to take place over on the west side, over on WCPO.com as well. And of course, Night on Your Side is focusing on the issues of growth and transportation in our community. You can see many of the stories that we've covered for you so far over online. Just go to WCPO.com/move up. Next on This Week in Cincinnati, remembering civil rights pioneer Marion Spencer and how she changed the tri-state.
The people, the headlines, the issues impacting you, all on This Week in Cincinnati on 9 on Your Side.